I'm Riggs Tamburo with the Sports Forum, and this is the Sports Affiliation.
Punch the pizza dough down, and it's time to sauce it up. Oh boy, is my mouth watering. What is going on, everybody? It is Thursday. It is 1 o'clock here on the West Coast. Different time zone for a few people on today. It's episode 3 of Sup Homeslice, joined by my buddy, as always, at IDP Iggy, IDP_Iggy on X. What is going on, Iggy?
Not much, man. How you living? Everything coming in clear and live over here on the road, dude?
Coming in clear and live. Look at all that Spurs goodness in the background. Avery Johnson, David Robinson, the old school jerseys. We love vintage here, baby. We like throwbacks here on the Sports Affiliation on Sup Homeslice. So, again, this is episode 3. We're going to be transitioning. The NBA season is over, but we've got plenty of sports to talk about. NHL, Stanley Cup still in full effect. MLB season close to that halfway point. So we're going to get into a lot of that goodness today. And lucky for us, lucky for all of you that are on today, we appreciate those who are joining us. We've got a special guest from our buddy over at the Sports Forum out in Denver, Colorado. This man at Riggs Sports Talk. You can also find him at the Sports Forum. He's also got his Riggs betting picks as well. This man's all over the place. He knows a lot about everything, a sprinkle on all of it, baby. And he's going to give us his best takes today. What's up, Riggs?
Hey, man, first of all, what an introduction. I appreciate it. I don't know if I deserve that, but I really appreciate that. No, guys, it's great to be here. Good to see you guys. Always great to talk with you guys. So thanks for having me on, man. I'm really looking forward to chopping this sports thing up with you guys.
Yeah, man, we're excited to have you. It's nice to flip the table.
Yeah, man, thanks so much for joining us.
Usually you're the one on the other side, so it's nice to turn the tables a little bit here. I don't want to say put you on the hot seat because I know you're ready for it, but without any further goodness there, I could talk about you all day long, brother. We're happy to have you. So we love the NBA here, right? And we're going to transition our Thursday show into some other sports. We're going to cover baseball pretty much until we get into more football season. But first, NBA Finals are wrapped up. The Dallas Mavericks did find a way to get a game. I don't know if that was more Mavericks or less Celtics. Boston wins the series 4-1. Any thoughts on the NBA Finals, on how you thought it was going to go and how it went, the quality of the basketball that was played as viewership was down, and just kind of the state of the NBA afterwards and as we look into next season? Kind of give me your thoughts there, man.
Boring. I mean, what else am I going to say, man? I was one of those guys that probably hurt that viewership. After game 2, I was like, well, this sucks, man. Like, no offense to them, but when 4 of the games are these 15, 20-point blowouts, like, it's not even fun. Like, I think we all kind of knew it. We knew it was coming. We all know that, hey, happy for Dallas to be there, but that should have been Denver. Maybe that should have been the Timberwolves. It just felt like they would have put up more of a fight there, man. And then on the other side, come on, man, that little Mickey Mouse ring, like, I don't know, man. I'm not liking that. I feel like it was a cakewalk. Some people want to say it was the easiest walk ever. I don't know about that. They did have to face a lot of teams at full strength through, 2-3 games, but none of those series gave them any competition. It was just boring. It felt like if the Celtics didn't win it, it would have been way more embarrassing than impressive if they did win. So I don't know, man. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm glad the NBA is over because that means I'm one day closer to NFL, and I can't wait for football to come back. But how'd you guys feel about the NBA Finals, man? Did you guys watch consistently? Because you're stronger than me. I couldn't do it there.
I'll let you go, Iggy. They are who we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that's how it breaks down for me. I mean, it went about as expected. And, I listen to some shows say, who cares what Vegas thinks? They're just there to get money. Well, they had the Celtics winning from about December on. The odds were negative on the Celtics. They delivered on what they were supposed to do. It didn't matter who their competition was. It doesn't matter who the coach was. I think they were just on a mission. Jaylen Brown improved his gameplay, and you could argue that's the difference. You could argue that that's not Porzingis, not Al Horford, not Derek White or Drew Holiday, but Jaylen Brown carrying his team to victory. So pretty snooze fest. Definitely feel bad that we were denied Denver versus Boston. I felt like that was a matchup we all deserved. Denver's the only team Boston didn't beat this year. So, 0-2 versus Denver. But I'm ready for the NFL, but I'm also ready for next year's NBA season already. So we'll see how it plays out. Denver's plus 800 right now, by the way.
Plus 800.
Denver's plus 800.
Yep.
No.
Hey, the Lakers are like plus 3,700 right now. So, not that they have a chance. But
hey, speaking of that, what's your take on the breaking news today for those LA Lakers?
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't. It hasn't mattered. I mean, it hasn't mattered the last few years, right? I just feel like with LeBron it's all about LeBron, I mean, and the players that they've brought around him, dude. They've tried to bring these 3-and-D players in throughout his tenure. None of them have ever lived up to the hype, right? They bring in a Malik Beasley. He can't shoot. He leaves and goes to the Bucks. He can shoot. They tried the Quinn Cook. They tried last year with Taurean Prince, and they have Hachimura. Like, I don't know. They just don't have the depth and the players to compete with the best teams in the Western Conference. I mean, that's just kind of the brood of it, and I don't know if that's going to change. So it depends on really what they do in the offseason on the court and what that looks like. Do they go get Bronny James and deal with that whole saga? Does LeBron somehow not be a Laker and this team looks completely different with Anthony Davis at the core? So that's what it boils down to me, man, is the guys on the court.
Look, I'm one of the few out there, man, that I think is actually a fan of JJ being the coach here, because I know you saw it being a Lakers fan. Iggy, I'm sure you saw, in the playoffs, we saw a coach sitting down trying to write something on clipboard, drawing together, and they're walking away and they're disrespecting him and turning their back on him. And the one thing about JJ is if he can keep that very fine line of, I'm not your friend, I'm your coach, but I hear you, I got you, like, we're cool, but don't cross my line. I think it's the one thing where that might actually help them win. They can't get over the hump because what you said, right? Oh, every single team, LeBron wants to be the coach. He doesn't want to listen to him. I think he's going to listen to JJ. So I think the window is very, very small. But I think 1 to 2 years there, while LeBron's there, I think he is the right man for the job, which I know appears to not be the popular opinion right now. But I do think that JJ is going to shock some people. I think he's going to be a lot better than a lot of people think.
I do like JJ Redick. I think he is a great basketball mind. I mean, like you said, the respect that LeBron has for him is there. I mean, come on, man. This guy's from the tree of Coach K, right? Like, he knows his stuff. You hear him talk ball. And on kind of the NBA Finals, man, the commentary that we get on the NBA is awful, by the way. Somebody like JJ Redick is the guy that I want to listen to him talk, man. I want to talk about a guy who knows the game, who knows the ins and out, who knows the schemes, who knows the adjustments. And let's be honest, that's what Darvin Ham lacked. When do you call a timeout? When do you not? When do you make the changes? When do you do these rotations? Had those things been a little different, hey, maybe we're having a different conversation, at least on them getting a little farther. Who knows? It was a tough draw, obviously, getting their worst matchup in the first round with the Nuggets. That's probably the thing about the Lakers is I think they could beat any other team in the West in a 7-game series, but they didn't match up with Denver. Again, though, that's who you have to beat to do it. But I think Redick's basketball mind, I mean, Ham was an NBA player, but I just don't think he had the quickness and the ability to be a coach in the NBA on the fly. And I think Redick has that. Like you said, I'm not a fan of the hire. I don't know who else you would get. There was no reason to bring Vogel back. Like, I do like the hire. I just think that the guys on the court also do need to do a better job, and that's got to be stated too.
100%.
What do you think, Iggy? Any thoughts on JJ Redick?
I mean, I don't expect much from the Lakers this year because, like you said, it goes back to me for what you said. How are they going to improve? How is that supposed to happen on the court? So we'll see. The West is going to be so tough. OKC is going to get better. Minnesota is probably going to be about the same or better. Denver should be about the same or better. We'll see what they do with KCP. But yeah, it's just, I mean, Dallas is going to be about the same or better. San Antonio is going to be better. It's just going to be tough. It's going to be tough to see how it all shakes out. And I don't know. We'll see. I don't think the coach is making that big of a difference.
I think you needed Dan Hurley. I think that's what you needed.
I think Dan Hurley, though, made the right call. We talked about on one of your shows, Riggs. Dan Hurley, I told you, is the face of college basketball and becoming that coach in that program. And for me, I wouldn't leave that, NBA or not. I just think two championships already, dominating the last 25 years as a program. When you look at it, like, I think he made the right move to stay. But I do agree with you. He is a great coach. So, hey, congratulations, man, to the Boston Celtics. They are the NBA champs. They did hang the banner. Winning in 08 and 24, kind of ironic with Kobe's two numbers being 8 and 24. I saw that the other day. I thought that was a little interesting. But, hey, congrats to Boston. The offseason has started. We've had a coach fired. We've had a coach hired. We've had Siakam sign an extension. So things are moving. But let's go to a sport that is still in play in this season, the NHL. Something you don't get too much of from Iggy and I is a sport on ice. But I do know that Riggs here loves his hockey. Check it out, man. This series was 3-0 Florida, and it looked like total domination, right? Florida, Edmonton had scored 4 goals in the first 3 games combined. I know they scored 8 in game 4, but I kind of look at that as maybe like that desperation game. But they came out in game 5, and they dropped 5 goals on the road and are now taking this series, Riggs, back to Edmonton for game 6, down 3-2. So you tell us, can Edmonton win this series? What's going on right now in the Stanley Cup?
Man, I can't escape this series, man. I have been on Florida Panthers now for the whole playoffs. This has been my team, my pick. I was on the Canucks coming out of the West. Then they had the injury issue, and I was like, oh, well, they're screwed. And I was Panthers the whole way going down the East, man. And they are the better hockey team here, and it's not even close. Like, no offense to Edmonton, they are not on the Panthers level, but I got to give them credit. Like you mentioned, I kind of thought game 4, it was like Dallas's game 4. It was like, oh, they punched them back in the mouth. I always say it on our show, grown men don't get swept. I believe in that. They don't like getting swept. It's a pride thing. But for them to come out in game 5, man, and play the way that they did, I was very impressed. With that said, playoff Bob, I think he's going to bounce back here very, very quickly there for the Florida Panthers. And Stuart Skinner, who they're calling Stuart Himmer now, hey, congrats to him. He's played 2 good games. But if you look at the rest of the sample size, he's not that dude. And I think the offensive, defensive, and goaltending advantage and discipline all goes to the Florida Panthers here. I don't want them, honestly, to win it in Edmonton, but I think inevitably they will win this. But as much as I understand people betting on the Oilers right now, you're getting plus 105 with the way better hockey team on the road here. It's time. It's time that everyone's going Edmonton. Give me Florida Panthers money line here in game 6. I'm riding that one to the bank.
Boom. There it is. You heard it. Plus money for the better team on the road. And not a must win, but hey, you don't want to go 7 at home or not. So I like it, man. You heard it here. Money line plus 105, Florida Panthers to hoist that Stanley Cup. Wrap it up. That means hockey season would be over tomorrow night. We'd be moving on to the next season there.
Heartbreaker.
No more NBA. NHL about to wrap up. We shall see if there will be a game 7, but tail that pick there. Plus 105, Florida Panthers on the money line to get it done. Now let's get into some MLB action. It's a Thursday in the MLB, so we don't have everybody playing. We got a lot of early games on a getaway day. We do have 2 games, though, left tonight. I know the Orioles and Yankees just got started. We're going to get into the other 2 games that are left. I think, man, this first game, Giants and Cardinals, man, we get to see this game at Rick Wood Field, right? This is a game that is already dedicated to a tribute to the Negro Leagues, right? Before the passing of Willie Mays. And I think it's pretty cool, man. I mean, Willie Mays was 93 years old. You know, death is never great, but man, Willie Mays, 93, lived a hell of a life. And now not only do we get to kind of tribute this league and the greatness of this field and what happened there and we get to remember Willie Mays, man, playing center field as a teenager, in the 1940s for the Barons, right? We get to talk about all these Hall of Famers that have gone through this field. And so we get a tribute, but also a remembrance. We get two baseball teams, Riggs, that maybe aren't that good. We get a pitching matchup between two guys that have some high ERAs, two offenses that aren't very good. First off, Riggs, what do you think about the game being played at this field that's been open since 1910 and the tribute to the Negro Leagues? And do you think anything about this game tonight between the Giants and the Cardinals?
I mean, first of all, man, it's historic. I'm happy for it. Shout out to Willie, man. Obviously a very sad situation, but overall, man, I'm really excited for this game, and I will be watching this game. I think it's a great location, should be a lot of fun. With that said, both teams 2 for 5 over their last 5. Both teams pitchers, like you mentioned, you got Wynn for the Giants, 6.67 ERA, 3-7 on the year. That's awful. Now he's on the road once again. Then you got Palante for the Cards, 4.61, 2-3 overall. I mean, I guess I have to give the pitching advantage here to Palante and the Cardinals, but overall, man, I don't trust the pitchers here. You mentioned the bats. I don't trust the bats here. You want to talk about a game that you shouldn't put your hard-earned money on? This is probably that game, but I'm going to go out on a limb here, man, and the one pick I would say in this game makes sense to me is the under, and that doesn't sound like it makes any sense, but 95% of the bets and the money are on the over in this game. Sharps are on the under in this spot. 9 runs. I think both teams stay slow. I think one of these teams only gets to 2 or 3 runs, and I don't really know if the other team is going to put up 6+ here. So I think this is somewhere in the realm of 4-3, and if I had to pick a side, I would go Cardinals to get it done here, guys.
There we go. I like it. I think that's a good call there. I mean, I tossed and turned with this on that over-under because the pitching is so bad, like you said, but these lineups, I mean, the Giants have had a little bit of success in a limited sample against Palante. Both these pitchers, though, Riggs, I mean, they're hard contact, they're expected back. Like, there's nothing in their underlying numbers that shows that any positive regression is in store, other than, like you said, these two lineups just aren't very good. Cardinals are not good against a pitcher that they haven't seen, that they've seen for the first time. I think that might be the one benefit to Win is he's brand new to this lineup. Might get him a couple innings of grace. So get through the first couple innings. I could see the under here as well. I don't think there's much else to really get to in this game other than the significance of where it's being played. A stadium that I think only holds, maybe like 8,000 tickets, I think, for this game. I mean, it's a pretty cool, man. I mean, less than 10,000 people getting to take this game in live. The week of Willie Mays passing, the tribute to the Negro Leagues. I do think it's a pretty cool thing that the MLB was already doing. And just kind of fitting, right? Jerry West passing, during the finals of a Celtics championship. You got Willie Mays passing while we've got an MLB game. Sports are awesome, man. This is why we love sports, why we love baseball. These kind of storylines always add just another cool detail to talk about, right? And I just don't think it's coincidental, man. One more game tonight. My Padres. Hard to say that. This team is so disappointing.
Hey, you're in second place.
Yeah, second place behind the Nationals for the last wild card spot. The Nationals have the final wild card spot right now. We'll talk about some of those future plays. I don't think the Nationals hold on to that spot, but the National League is pretty, I don't want to say overrated, but pretty ho-hum as a whole, right? The Phillies have been dominant. Padres are coming off a win. They do come back home after a 1-5 road trip in New York and Philadelphia. Matt Waldron gave them a great game yesterday. They got rookie Adam Mazer on the mound today. They're going against Bryce Wilson of the Brewers. This game is at Petco. What do you think on this game here, Riggs?
Man, this is another ugly one, man. Brewers, 4 for 5 over their last 5. So I guess the flip of the other side there, winning 4 or 5 instead of losing 4 or 5. So maybe the momentum here could go with Milwaukee, but you want to talk about one team in baseball, man, that I do not trust on a nightly basis. That's the Milwaukee freaking Brewers, man. I can't stand these guys. They get so overvalued. But you look at the pitching matchup, it's clear here. You look at Wilson, man, 3.84 ERA, 4-3 on the year. Missouri, 7.82 ERA, 0-2. I'm sorry. SoCal, I love you, brother, but I don't think that this is the night here, man. If you're a Missouri guy, if you take his strikeouts over, I'll say a prayer for you, but I just don't think it's going to happen here. painfully and against my better judgment, I will be going with the Milwaukee Brewers to win this game, simply because of the pitching and the fact that I think for the Padres to win, I genuinely think they have to put up 6+ here. I just don't think they get it. I would go somewhere in the prediction realm of 6-3 Milwaukee Brewers.
Not something I want to hear, but I understand. For me personally, yeah, I'm not even touching either side of this game. Partially that is because I am a Padre fan, but I don't trust either team. And I will say this about the Padres. They cannot hit left-handed pitching. Thankfully, this man is a right-handed pitcher. The Padres actually have one of the better lineups against right-handed pitching on the season. That is the one thing that does give me a little hope on the Padres side is you've got Arise, you've got Cronenworth, you've got Profar, and you've got maybe one of the hottest, not just rookies, but one of the hottest hitters right now in baseball is young Jackson Merrill. All four of those guys are coming to the dish left-handed. I think those guys could do some damage tonight. Any one of those four guys, their total bases are all at plus money. The question is which guy to take. Merrill has been red hot. I think he's plus 650 to go yard tonight. He's hit a home run, I think, in 5 of 7 games. You want a little sprinkle there, Riggs, your favorite thing to do. I think a sprinkle on a Jackson Merrill bomb at plus 650 in a ballpark where actually home runs have been flying out at a much more rapid rate this season than we've seen. And you mentioned Adam Mazur. You want an over. It's not the strikeouts. It's over 2.5 walks for Adam Mazur. I
love that.
I think it was plus 145 earlier. This man has walked more than 3 batters in all of his starts this season. In 4 starts, he's walked over 3 batters. And the Brewers are the 3rd highest walk team in the league. The 3rd most walks per game. So even if this guy pitches well, I think it's hard to not see 3 walks. I think he's coming off a 6-walk game against the Mets. So you want an over on Adam Mazur. Avoid anything else in the game. Forget the score. Forget all that. Give me plus money, over 2.5 walks for Adam Mazur. Again, I won't touch the money line, but I agree with you. I think we see some offense here based on the Padres against right-handed pitching, based on Mazur putting guys on base. Probably lean the over in this game if you're looking for an over-under play. Like I said, I'm not throwing anything on it, but I would lean the over here. That gets us through the games today. Everything else has already happened or either is in action right now. I know you got your Orioles playing right now, and I say your Orioles because you are betting the Baltimore Orioles every game on the run line, right? Every game minus 1.5, right? Minus 1.5 on the Orioles. How's that going for you?
It is going very well, my man. And I tell you what, Luis Gil is on the mound, 9-1, 2 ERA, and they are cracking that boy already in this game, man. So those Orioles have not let me down. Spoiler alert, my World Series pick right there. But yeah, man, keep an eye on those Baltimore Orioles guys. You want to make some money on a nightly basis? All you got to do, Orioles minus 1.5. Don't look at nothing. Put it in, walk away. It'll work out for you more times than it won't.
Hey, Orioles, one of the better teams right now in baseball. So, I mean, it's definitely you seem to be on the positive side more than not. So, again, that's Riggs. He's betting the Orioles run line minus 1.5 every night of MLB baseball. That's 162 games. Looking like he's going to come out on the good side of it. You picked the right team to follow there, my man. So, hey, as we get into the baseball season here, we're getting close to that halfway point. We're right around 75 games for most of these teams, right? 162-game season. All-Star break coming up mid-July, so we are about a month away from that, but close to the halfway point. First All-Star ballot has been released, so we still got a few weeks to see what happens there. As you know, with the voting, the top 2 guys in each position advance to another round. I think it's the top 6 outfielders advance, so it kind of is like a tournament level of voting here. But as you look at the ballot right now, Riggs, is there anything that stands out to you on either side, AL or NL, of who's been voted in, or is there anybody on this first ballot that you think is not getting love that needs some more love the next few weeks here?
Yeah, first one for me, man. The one that I do like a lot is third baseman Ryan McMahon for the Colorado Rockies. I watch this guy on a nightly freaking basis, man, and he's so darn good at baseball. For being on the team that he's on, I just think he's one of our stars. He's the highest paid on the team for a reason. Ryan McMahon, he's getting 5th most voting right now in that third base spot, like 187,000 is where he's at right now. I think that he should get more votes. And if he doesn't make it in, I will be absolutely shocked. because if he doesn't get in, it's only because he plays for the Colorado Rockies. And there's no other way to put it. And then you know what? Call me boring. I know Rockies suck, guys, but a guy that I can't believe is not in this conversation is shortstop Ezequiel Tovar. You want to talk about a guy that looks better than Elly De La Cruz? And yes, I just said that. Go look at the actual stats. Don't just look at the face value. Ezequiel Tovar, he's not on the ballot right now. If he doesn't make it on the ballot, man, I might have to write a little letter into the MLB because it's just ridiculous at this point.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned kind of the face value in the name of Elly De La Cruz, because that brings me to the leading outfield vote getter in the National League, which surprises me, not because of his play, but because of the name. We're looking at Jurickson Profar on my San Diego Padres, right? He is the leading vote getter in the outfield, and I know the numbers are there. This guy's hitting 323. He's got the second highest batting average, 10 bombs, 47 RBIs, and an OPS over 900. This is the Juan Soto replacement, right? This is the guy brought back on a one-year deal. This is a former top prospect in the major leagues who has just kind of had a ho-hum average career. But I am surprised to see that the overall fan base of the Major League Baseball is actually voting him in at number one. Does that surprise you, kind of on that same topic, that, you know, a guy like Elly De La Cruz gets that recognition? Are you surprised to see Profar at the top of this list?
I am not surprised to see him in the top of this list, but I don't know if I would put him at number one. I actually thought Hernandez here for the Dodgers would be in that number one spot for me personally, but I fully look, Tatis is great, man, but he's more of a, once again, face value. He's more of the face there than I think he is based on game right now. Profar, though, I think I'd put him at 2 or 3, to be honest with you. I don't think he's far off. I think he absolutely should be up there. But if I was the one voting and I only got one vote, I would put in Hernandez right now, just because I've been more impressed and I didn't really see that one coming the way I saw Profar. So, but okay, hats off to Profar, man. He looks great.
I know, man. He keeps it going. I mean, I'm just waiting for it to just kind of fall off, right? Because he just hasn't been able to put a season together like this. But the longer you go, I mean, you get to that 90-game, 100-game mark as a team and as a player, that starts to really shape who you are and what you're doing. And that's the kind of year you're having. And he's getting to that point. So, I mean, hats off to him. Anybody in the American League that you are surprised about or think should be getting a little more love?
You know, man, honestly, I went through all of those guys over there, and this sounds funny, but like, not really. I'll tell you what, though, right there, Jose Altuve. Are you kidding me? At number one? What am I missing here, man? I don't know about that. I don't really agree with that one there. I get it. You know, if you really look at the competition there, I actually don't think it's that strong. I can't believe that they didn't put some stronger names here on this list. But overall, man, I mean, no, there's really not that much for me over there in the AL as of today. But, you know, only time will tell. We'll see what comes out on the next ballot.
I think you nailed it there. It's Altuve probably doesn't belong, but that list, I mean, Simeon's had a good, you know, he's got good name value as well. But overall, that list is kind of weak. So, I mean, second base, probably the weakest position over there. Altuve getting the love. I know we don't vote on pitchers as fans, but if you were picking right now a guy on both sides of the league, and we'll get into talking Cy Young, but who are you starting on the hill in this game? Forget if they pitch, you know, if they're available, who's pitching for the NL, who's pitching for the AL?
Well, first of all, the whole world wants to put Ranger Suarez up there, but I would disagree with that. I would not put Ranger Suarez up there. One guy for me right now is Seth Lugo from the Royals. Absolutely love what this guy's dishing out right now. I think he looks phenomenal. I think you have to put Shota Imanaga, who I call Shooter, like Shooter McGavin. That's my guy right there. If I see him on the mound, I'm putting him in. The dude fires bullets, man, and it's hard to fade him right now. But you want to talk about a sleeper? I mean, no one would ever put him there, but what about Paul Skeens? Is he even worth the conversation? I know that he came in a little bit late, but what he's done so far, 90% of his pitches are over 100 miles an hour. He's dealing right now. He's got all the pressure in the world on his shoulders, and the kid just shows up day in and day out. He's only getting better. I don't know, man. I think Imanaga, Paul Skeens, and Seth Lugo, as of today, are my top 3 pitchers in the league, followed by Ranger Suarez.
No Schoolball there from the Tigers, huh?
I love Screwball, but I expected better.
I can see that. I mean, expectations were high. And Seth Lugo, man, I mean, talk about a guy 2 years ago, not even a starting pitcher, right? Wanted to become a starter. Hell of a year for the Padres last year. They let him go. Royals gave him $15 million to join the staff, and all he's done is win 10 games so far, give him quality start after quality start. And like you said, in the conversation to, possibly start an all-star game. So I like that call. I like Lugo when he was here. Love to see the Padres bring him back at 15 mil, considering Musgrove out, Darvish out, Matt Waldron right now, probably the ace of the Padres staff. And no disrespect to him, he's pitched great, but that's not the guy you want being number one, Riggs. But I like the Skeens look, man. This guy, if you haven't watched Paul Skeens before he pitches in a game, watch this man's pregame workout, dude. He is a monster. He's loose, but just nuts as well. This guy is like, kind of gives me Randy Johnson vibes, right? If he gets going and gets angry. I mean, and he is just electric. I think it'd be fun for the game. Like you said, he came on a little late, so who knows if we'll get that. But, hey, All-Star game, that's middle of July. We still got a few weeks. We'll see some more ballots. You want to see who's in the All-Star game? You don't like the votes? Hey, go fill out some ballots. I think you can fill out as many as you want. Send them in. Vote for your favorite players. Get some guys some love. You got a few weeks to do that. Since we're talking about the pitching, I do want to talk to you about kind of some surprises in the league, but let's go kind of into the awards here. We just brought up some pitchers. Let's get into the Cy Young candidate right now. On both sides of the ball, I mean, Ranger Suarez, Skubal, those are probably the two favored guys right now at the top of the list. Do you think they should be favored? Who on this list here, as Iggy pulls up some of the odds, who do you like? And then somebody kind of farther down on the list that could still make a run that's got a nice number for us on a future here.
Yeah, man, this is really tough here. Are we going to start with the NL?
Okay. Start with let's go NL, yep. So
you want to talk about a sleeper in the NL, and we just let this guy's name off the board, and I can't believe that we did, and I can't believe no one said it, but 1.57 ERA, Reynaldo Lopez. Come on, man, 15-1 right now. Are you kidding me right there on that board? That is absolutely absurd. The dude looks phenomenal. He's filling in some big old shoes over there, and he's doing a great job. So I got to give my hat off to him, man. I think he looks great, but whether I agree with it or not, I think if you're a better, Ranger Suarez at plus 300 actually still holds value because I don't think it's Zach Wheeler. I think that Shota is right there, but honestly, one guy that appears to slowly be creeping up is Tyler Glasnow, man. I think you got to keep your eye on Tyler Glasnow. But if I had to guess today who wins this award, I actually think it's Ranger Suarez, just because the Phillies are going to be a top team. They're going to win their division. He looks good. He's dealing right now. He's very good at not getting blown up. Yes, he has a couple bad innings, but you want to talk about a guy that is not going to shoot himself in the foot. Looking at these top six, I think Ranger Suarez is that top guy.
I like it. I like it. What do you like in the American League?
So American League, this is a tough one I hear, man. But I tell you what, I get why Scooball's in first, but I would lean towards Corbin Burns as of right now. They're in the second spot at plus 300. I like Corbin a lot. You know, I can't believe Luis Gil, obviously, bro's getting blown up right now, but he looks phenomenal at 16-1 there so far on the year. I think 10-1 on the year is what I said, 2.02 ERA. Like, come on, man. He looks great. But you want to talk about a guy that has potential because his team is good and he could keep balling is Cole Ragans there at 16-1 for the Kansas City Royals. Him and Lugo are carrying that team together. It's tough, man. These awards are wide open. But I think if you were going to sprinkle away, you could sprinkle each of these guys. And if you hit one of them, you're cashing out.
Yeah, I mean, you look at last year, right? Blake Snell, I mean, was awful the first 2 months of the season. And then he just went on a run that we probably will not see another pitcher do, not just this year, but who knows, maybe never again. I mean, some of the numbers he put up, and I mean, he's fallen off drastically. When you can't throw breaking pitches for a strike in Major League Baseball, you are going to get rocked because your only pitch is a fastball, and every Major League hitter can hit that. And so Snell is struggling. But the run he went on last year, the last 3 months of the season, I think you could see a guy like Cole do that. He was one of my sleepers to begin the season at like plus 3,500. I really liked him and Grayson Rodriguez, who I think you could keep an eye on Grayson. He's got the stuff, but he'd really have to go on an incredible run to kind of get back in that conversation. You look at a Luis Castillo. I want to buy into a guy like that. But again, he pitched today. He didn't pitch too great against the Guardians. I feel like something's happened to him, Riggs. He just has lost some of who he was prior to this season. I don't know what it is about him. Maybe the same thing, not throwing some of those secondary pitches for strikes, being a little more one-dimensional. Before the show started, I wanted to talk about him, but then his outing today kind of deterred me. And one outing doesn't make the season, but it's not just today. He's just shown glimpses of that. And you mentioned with talking about guys not taking a dive, not having those bad games. I don't know if I can trust Castillo to do that.
I got a question for you on one guy on that list really quick, though, that I wanted to ask either of you guys about. What about Red Sox pitcher there in that fourth spot, Tanner Huck, man? Because this guy right here, absolutely, you just mentioned it. Could he get blown up? Yeah. Is he going to get blown up? Probably. But you talk about a guy on a bad team that no one's talking about. This kid looks good every time he's out there, man.
It's funny you said that, Riggs, because I was just going in to give him a shout out in that next comment, man, because this guy, I believe ERA under 2. He might lead the American League in ERA if I'm not mistaken, or he did. But this guy's been phenomenal. The Red Sox just are not a good baseball team. But I like what this kid's doing. I think, though, what weighs on him is I know wins don't matter as much, but he probably won't get them. And odds are good. He probably does have a bad start or two. And I just don't think he's got the recognition. I mean, you look at Crochet over there as well. He might get dealt, before the trade deadline. But playing for the White Sox, even worse than Tanner Houck. But I do like what Houck is doing. I think he does deserve a mention. He's been phenomenal. Like you said, Lopez on the Braves has that ERA. Nobody talking about him. Nobody is talking about Tanner Houck. I love what he brings to the table, man. So I think it's wide open because I think a guy like Rodriguez, a guy like Castillo, a guy like Cole, they could all go on kind of a dominant run. They have that Snell-type stuff to go on a 10-game barrage of just striking guys out and all of a sudden, elevating themselves above this field. But who's it going to be? It's kind of tough, right? So,
right. 2.14, by the way, on Tanner Huck's ERA.
Okay. I think he was under 2 going into his last start, if I'm not mistaken. So, which when you're at like 1.9, jumping up to 2.14 is not a bad start. It's hard to stay at those numbers. But I think with that being said, Corbin Burns is probably the guy because he's been there before. He's the veteran guy. He's on a good team, a team that's winning a lot of games. I'd have to probably put my ink in the pen on Corbin Burns in the American League right now.
I agree. Yep.
Let's move over to MVP candidates right now. We can go AL or NL. Who do you like there, Riggs?
MVP candidates. Well, starting with the NL, man. I mean, look, so Shohei's interesting, right? Because I'm really missing watching him pitch, and it doesn't feel the same to me. And I can't really justify why he's plus 160 as such a major favorite in this spot. That doesn't really make sense to me here. I already mentioned I'm not really in on Tatis. I think Bryce Harper right now is the pick for me. Just saw him go another 2-yarders. Or was it yesterday or the day before? They had 2 runs. They were both Bryce home runs. Talk about a guy that you take him off his team, they are fractionally as good as they were before. And I think Ohtani, as great as he is, I don't think the Dodgers need him to win games. They need Bryce Harper to win games over there in Philly. I'm not in on Tatis. Ozuna, Freeman, nah. Like, I don't really want to go too much farther. If I could throw one guy in there as a long shot, it's that man right there, Ketel Marte. Talk about a guy that his team needs him. He's balling out on second base right now. He's in that ballot voting that we saw. I think Ketel Marte is a sleeper here, but to lock it in, I'd probably go with Bryce Harper. Am I tripping here on those two?
No, I think those are good looks, man. I think the thing about Shohei, especially now with Mookie going down with the fractured hand, is whatever Shohei does during this stretch, and if the Dodgers continue to be the second best team, in the National League and stay up there, he's going to get that. He's going to get that much more love because of that, right? Now that Mookie's out, even though they do have Freeman, they do have Will Smith, he's going to get kind of that extra love with what he does by carrying the Dodgers, if you will, even though I agree with you. I don't think he necessarily has to do that. I do like Harper. I will say, though, man, someone deep down on this list who probably doesn't have a chance, but I think he's just as valuable to that Phillies team, man, is Kyle Schwarber. I mean, this is a guy that was barely hitting 200 going into this season. He's got his batting average up to 260. He's got, 18 bombs, 60 RBIs. he sets the tone for that Phillies team, man. And I don't think he'll get there. I just think he's worth a mention because I think he is the guy that just keeps that Phillies team rolling. Whether Harper misses some games, they had Trey Turner out, Marsh was out, right? Realmuto's out. Schwarber continues to be, I think he's very important to that team for their long-term success as a whole. But yeah, I think if we're going star player, I do like Bryce Harper there with you. Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte, I think they got to start winning some more games. You know, they always look to guys on winning teams. That's probably going to hurt Tatis as well. If the Padres can go on a tear, maybe Tatis is the guy that sparks that. But right now, man, it's Jackson Merrill that's, you know, playing well for that team. And the Padres can't find a way to win baseball games. So if you're not winning games, it's hard to put you up there. Harper and Shohei play on probably the two best teams right now in the National League. I think you're looking good there. I just think Shohei gets that added love with that name and face value.
Yep. But that's the problem, right? So Shohei's plus 160 as the favorite and Hernandez is 80-1. Like I can't, my brain doesn't process that. I don't understand. This dude's not 70 times more valuable than Shohei. Shohei's not 70 times more valuable than Hernandez. So I don't know, man. I think you're right. Ohtani will probably win because voters love him. The public loves him. Everybody loves him. But is he the most valuable player? I genuinely don't think he is. When he's doing both, I think he is because no one can do it like he can do it. But just batting, half the time he gets pitched around. Like he's not really doing anything. So I don't know, man. It's hard to watch there from the Dodgers point of view. But looking at the American League, man, Aaron Judge there at that minus 120 favorite. I mean, how do you not look at Aaron Judge? Talk about a guy that MVP, that's an MVP. That's what it looks like on paper. So that's my pick straight up. But you know I like Gunnar Henderson there. I think that's an easy name to mention. Very important to his team. Only difference with Gunnar and Aaron is when you talk MVP, you're talking, right, most valuable player. Henderson is one of many. Judge is one of a couple. And I just feel like there's a little bit more of we need Aaron more than they need Gunnar. But if you want to look down the board here just a little tiny bit, I do think that you could throw the name out there. And I don't know if it makes much sense, but I do think that Adley Rutschman is worth a shot there just because I just talked about guys that are important. I'm just looking at value here, 80-1. I think he should be much closer to 30-1, 35-1. That'd make a lot more sense here for me, but this side is a lot easier to me. I feel like if you want to just drop a bag on one guy and feel pretty damn good about it, if you can avoid the Aaron Judge injury, he's going to win this award.
Yeah, a little more clear cut on this side. I think, like you said, he is just look what the Yankees have been doing, and he's at the center of it. But yeah, Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt Jr. as well. I mean, two guys that I think you're going to see at the top of this list for a long time, man. It's pretty cool to see two Orioles towards the top of the list, and a Kansas City Royal, man. It's good for baseball. It's good to see these young cats on the list. I think their time might not be quite here. You could argue that Witt doesn't have nearly as many weapons, obviously, as either the Yankees or the Orioles do. And depending on where the Royals end up, I mean, the Guardians are playing such good baseball, right? The Royals are in second place in that division. If they can find a way to keep playing well, win that division, and he continues to play well, he might be the second guy for me behind Judge. But it would have to take something happening to Judge missing more time. I think, like you said, this is one where the odds show Judge is the guy. We talked about earlier the Celtics kind of being that odds-on favorite from the whole season moving forward. You're kind of getting that with Judge, and I know we like to get the plus money, but I think on this side, you got to go Judge. If you want to sprinkle on one of these other guys, cool, have some fun with it, but I'm right there with you, man. Aaron Judge is the guy. Looking at Rookie of the Year as well, you've heard me mention a few times the National League. Obviously, you know who my guy is in the NL. It's Jackson Merrill. I just think you can't go against a guy, rookie, 20 years old, hitting 270, finding a way to get power, playing a great center field for a guy that was a shortstop. He's doing all that you ask of him and more. I know that Imanaga is good. I know Skeens is good. They're both pitchers. I don't have a problem with the pitcher winning the award, but for me, it's Jackson Merrill, Riggs.
I'll tell you what, man, 10-1. I'm a little bit shocked by that. I think that go drop $10, make yourself a quick 100. Like, I don't hate that at all here, man. I think that you're onto something there. His name's moving up the board. I tell you what, I was looking at these every week for the last 2 months, man. And Jackson Merrill's name was way down there, and it just keeps crawling, and no one's talking about it except you. So I like where you're going with this right now at the 10-1 number. With that said, I've been going 2 directions here. Looking at the 2 favorites, I've been saying as long as Paul Skeens is better odds, it's Paul Skeens. It's very simple for me. If Imanaga goes back and then he's the favorite or he's the dog, I'd go with him. But I think Paul Skeens at 125, man. I will be shocked if 2 months from now, Paul Skeens is not the favorite. I don't see how that doesn't happen. He's pitching way too well. He might get blown up eventually, but the Pirates have been so good at coming in, covering him out of the bullpen when he needs it. I don't know if you watched last week, but there was a spot where it was like 2 outs, bases loaded. He was in a really bad spot. The manager walked out and said, "Do you want this or do you want out?" And he openly was like, "Hey, put him in. Let's go." And they came in and they saved him. And so, like, I think that they're very good at protecting him. I don't trust the Cubs the way that I trust the Pirates. So I'm going to say Paul Skeens is my favorite, but Jared freaking Jones there at 15-1. Stop sleeping on this guy, man. I know another pitcher. So if you're on the pitcher train with me, cool. But I think at 15-1, man, this dude looks so good over there for the Pirates. As great as Paul is, Jared's been doing it for longer so far this year, and he stays in longer in games as well. So I think 15-1, very generous odds, but lock in my one bet. I'm going Skeens.
There it is. Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, 2 pitchers, young pitchers on the same team in Pittsburgh. Man, the future is bright for that staff. And if you follow baseball, man, the Pirates have been good over the years of developing young pitchers in that team. They don't always hold on to them, but damn, do they develop them. And those 2 guys are already good. So you want to watch 2 good pitchers, watch tonight Skeens and Jones pitch. Let's move over to the American League, Riggs.
Well, this is a tough one for me because I want to say Luis Gil, but I faded him today, and it's going very well for me so far. So I'm trying to justify this minus 165 number. If you guys want to bet this, first of all, wait till this game ends. I'll bet you that goes to 150. I don't think it's going to go the other way for sure because he's finally getting hit up a little bit. That 2 ERA got blown up in the very first inning of that game. So I think it's Luis Gil. I'm looking at the rest of the list. There's no way I'm putting my money on Mason Miller. There's no way I'm going with Abreu here. There's no way I'm going like none of the top 6 names even interest me outside of Luis Gil. So for me, it's Gil or nothing. But personally, I can't bet a guy at minus 165. So if I had to throw out one crazy name there, I would probably throw out Wyatt Langford at 20-1 if you want to take a shot. But I really think it's Luis's award to lose at this point, man.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because another Yankee favorite, with, without plus money, the odds-on guy, and nobody else really on the list that has much confidence. I mean, if you remember before the year started, Wyatt Langford was the guy all over Twitter, all over social media as this is the rookie of the year. This is the guy. Well, hey, there's no better time to do it if you still like him because the number is right there for the taking. So, I mean, I think if you're going to go on Gil, I mean, hey, a sprinkle on Langford couldn't hurt. But I agree. I don't see anybody else on this list. I'm also not going to lay on Gil. That's just not a good number for me. I'm looking at these futures. I want some plus money, man. We're talking a long time from now. You want me to go to a guy that's almost minus 200 on a bet that I don't get paid out on for multiple months away? I just can't do it. But I think it's right. I think the book is correct. But as a bettor, I'm not looking to that play at all. So I'm right there with you, man. The Yankees are steamrolling those 2 categories right now, and rightfully so, man. The Yankees are one of the best teams in baseball. So looking at these same Yankees and talking about these teams as a whole, I know it's early, Riggs. We got a lot of baseball to play. We haven't had the All-Star game. We'll have a trade deadline. But like I said, we're getting past that 60-game mark. We're getting close to that 90, 100 game where we can really kind of see who is this team, what have they had injury-wise, what are they going to do moving forward. This is who they are. They are who we thought they were, as Iggy loves to play there. Shout out Dennis Green.
Yeah.
World Series, Riggs.
And we let him off the hook.
World Series, Riggs. If you had to pick now, who are your 2 teams right now? What is the matchup you're looking at? Who's winning that matchup? And I ask you that because I want to look at the future matchup on what those odds are of who you have beating the other team, because that's always fun.
Oh man. So first of all, it's Baltimore Orioles. Iggy's on it. He already knows where I'm going here, man. Come on now. Give me the Baltimore Orioles. I've been on this team since we did our division previews before the year started. I'm on these guys. I'm staying on these guys. One of my co-hosts over there at the forum, man, is a Yankee diehard, and he loves debating this with me. I'm like, bro, you know what happens. Shout out to the Dodgers fans. Y'all know what's going to happen. You're going to choke eventually. They're going to choke to the Baltimore Orioles. I'm telling you, I said it on our show earlier today. Baltimore proves a point today in New York against their best pitcher and says, we can beat your best at your place. It's going to happen today, and I'm going to stick with Baltimore to get it done here. But it gets really interesting when I jump over to the other side because no one's going to like this because this team probably won't even make the playoffs. But if and when they do, y'all better be careful. The Pittsburgh Pirates are 200-1 right now, and that is absolutely absurd to me. Very young team playing very well. Paul Skeens looking great. Jared Jones looking great. The bullpen playing well. Their bats are even better than they're showing so far. You want to look at a sleeper, maybe don't even do a matchup here, but just straight up Pirates to win even the division or just to win the league alone, I think is worth it. But if I had to pick one other team, man, from the other side, usually I would look at the D-backs, but they're down this year. I'm not a believer in the Brewers. I think it's between the Phillies and the Dodgers, and my gut tells me the Dodgers, but they're choke artists. And I like me some Bryce Harper and Phillies in the playoffs. So I'm going to go Phillies. I'm going to go Orioles, Phillies, and I'm going to say Baltimore wins the whole thing. But if you're feeling ballsy today on this beautiful Thursday, 200-1 on Pittsburgh, while they're not currently projected to make the playoffs, I think it's a great value spot.
I like that. I like that you mentioned not doing the Orioles Pirates in the matchup, but doing a straight wager as a sprinkle with the Pirates. Iggy, I think you can pull up there what Orioles over Phillies is on the exact matchup. To your point, Riggs, on the Dodgers, I think you're right on those two teams being the two favorites. But I look at the pitching staff as well on these two teams, and it's been the Dodgers' struggle the last couple of years. They win a ton of games. They find a way to get in as a high seed. But their pitching staff lacks that depth when the playoffs come around. And we're talking Ranger Suarez. We're talking Zach Wheeler. We're talking Aaron Nola when the playoffs start. Even Sanchez has looked good. Like, that team is just too deep for me. And I know it's I always like to look to a team that's not got the best record, and it doesn't always work out that way in baseball. But right now, where it stands, Trey Turner coming back. They'll hopefully get Realmuto back. You mentioned Bryce Harper as an MVP favorite. Even guys like Edmundo Sosa, who's come up and played great. Marsh has looked good. Castellanos in the middle of that lineup. For me, I got to say Phillies too. And I love the Orioles pick because kind of on the same Dodger point, I think the Orioles pitching staff is also better than the Yankees. And I think if it got into a playoff series, I trust those arms a little bit more. I trust that team. The Yankees are good. I do like the Orioles as well. And I mentioned Luis Castillo. I really would like to take a shot or a sprinkle on Seattle because I feel like their offense, like you mentioned, Pittsburgh,
I love it.
It is better than people think. And if Luis Castillo can turn it around and they can get quality pitching from Gilbert, from Kirby, from Castillo, the bullpen is good, a 3.5 ERA. Why not, right? I mean, give me a sprinkle on Seattle there. Off the wall, this would probably never be the matchup, but Seattle-Pittsburgh would have to be one hell of an odds there on that match. Yeah. I might throw $5 on that just for the hell of it because the payout would be legit, but for both teams to make it. But same line of thinking, right? Mariners, Pirates, great pitching, better lineup than people see. So I think I kind of like that Mariners look the same way you like that Pirates angle, Riggs.
You know, and I'm a believer that I think one of the top landing spots at the deadline is going to be Pete Alonso to the Seattle Mariners. That's a sleeper. I've been talking about it. I like it a lot. Everyone's saying Cubs. That doesn't make any sense. They're offloading. Yeah, you could look at the Royals. I think it's a great spot for them. But I tell you what, man, Seattle Mariners, they need one more big bat. They are such an on-base percentage team. They need someone who can hit the boys home outside of Julio. And I think that Pete Alonso could be that dude there. He doesn't belong on a team that wants him to get on base, but he's all, as everybody knows, he's all or nothing. He's striking out, he's going yard. He's striking out, he's going yard. It's usually how it goes. So I think that if they can get Pete Alonso, your value on the Mariners is just going to skyrocket there.
Yeah, my National League only dynasty team does not like that take there, Riggs. But I do see where you're going with it, and you're right. It's a 220 trade-off for 40-plus home runs. Put him on that lineup, right? Ty France and those guys aren't quite the guys around Julio to drive in those runs. Alonso would be a great fit there. What do we have there? So what was Orioles over Phillies?
That one's 35-1.
Right there. 35.
Yeah, I think that's worth I think right now that's definitely worth a little sprinkle there. I mean, I don't even know if you have Mariners and Pirates on that list.
Yeah, I'm looking too, man. You got to go deep on this list.
That's what I was doing it right here. I have them to play each other, not with the winner, but for them to play each other, it was pretty
That's good enough. I wouldn't even do the winner. If I was going to sprinkle on that, I would just do the matchup, because could you imagine putting that matchup and just getting the winner wrong?
Would you say Seattle, though? Because here's the thing, man. If the Pirates make the World Series and it's against the freaking Mariners, I think the Pirates win. If it's not the Yankees or the Orioles, I think the Pirates could be anybody else in that league. I really do.
I think it'd be tough, man, because like you said, if they were to get Alonso and Castillo and Kirby and Gilbert were pitching at that level that got them there, I'd be hard-pressed to bet against Seattle too, because they would really have to be dominating, I think, to get through that American League. So it'd be like, man, these guys must be pitching well. They must have added a bat. They must really be clicking. So both teams, I feel like it'd really be hard to choose. So I think right now, though, I probably would lean Pittsburgh with you. But, yeah, I think that matchup number is probably just is worth playing a little sprinkle just for fun.
It looks to me, man, like you're looking somewhere in the realm of 250-1 to 500-1. It's somewhere in that giant realm back there. So 250-1, even at that, if you pick the Mariners, and Pirates, if you go the other way, 500-1. So, like, I mean, come on, man. You know, throw $4 on it. Get yourself a couple grand real quick.
Yeah,
$4 on each side of it.
Yeah, just for them to play each other is at 57,975. So if you place the $2.50 bet, you're still getting $1,451 back. So
that's crazy.
Not a bad payout.
Man, oh man,
less than a Starbucks Spikes coffee, man.
Yeah, you're not even picking the winner there. So that's beautiful. That's crazy, man. Wow.
Yeah, I like it.
Hey, two teams with great pitching staffs. Yeah, great pitching staffs. Obviously, divisions that, the Brewers are playing well, but like you said, you don't trust them. The AL West easily is there for Seattle's taking, right? Houston's fallen off. Texas is looking like a one-year wonder kind of as well. So, I mean, it's not the worst look of actually even looking at their path to get there and the team they have and the moves they make. Like, man, for those odds, it's really, talking yourself into it doesn't sound as crazy. But hey, it takes a lot to get there. But hey, it's hard for the Phillies and the Orioles to get there too. So, like you said, at $2.50, why not? Man, Riggs, thank you. That's right, baby. Little sprinkle all day. That pretty much covers everything. I know we've been going for a while here, man. It was fun. I know we had a lot of people tuning in. Appreciate everybody that watched, man. Riggs, why don't you just give everybody a little info here on where they can find you, what you got going on, man, and we'll wrap things up here.
Yeah, guys, please check me out at Riggs Sports Talk, as you can see there. Also at Denver Forum. Got some great stuff coming for you guys. sportsforumdenver.com. I know you guys write a bunch of articles. We got a lot of articles up. Anyone out here in Colorado, we do some MLB ticket giveaways. Who wants some Rockies tickets for July? Check it out, man. But, yeah, check us out, man. Going live daily. Got a radio show, 10 o'clock on weekends. But other than that, man, hey, appreciate the sports affiliation, man. Always great chatting with you guys.
Always a pleasure having you here, man.
Hey, real quick before we get out of here, man, we do have a nice little new partnership, Iggy, right? You got a nice little cool promo video for us. We can drop that on the people real fast, man. Little partnership with Drafter. Boom, love there it is right there, man. TSA Bets is the promo code. Match your deposit up to $100. Pick a couple plays. Go for some DFS. Got a lot of best ball going on, man. You see on there, man, our boy Disco doing best ball drafts every day at Big Drafters as well, man. So, yeah, man, keep following the sports affiliation. Go check out at Rig Sports Talk. Follow the Denver Sports Forum, man. They always got great stuff going on every day. Of course, it's IDP_Iggy at SoCal Ball Nerd. Again, at Rig Sports Talk. This has been Sup Homeslice. Get yourself some pizza. Get yourself a parlay. We'll see you next week.